Welcome back, guys. In this episode, Arjun takes his first steps into a world far from everything he's ever known. Will he find the strength to overcome the overwhelming challenges of New York City? And how will the memories of his family guide him as he embarks on this life-changing journey? Discover the answers as Arjun's adventure unfolds. Episode 3: Friendships that change everything. The day Arjun had both dreamed of and dreaded finally arrived. He stood at the threshold of his family's tiny home in Agra, a small suitcase by his side, filled with the few belongings he could take with him. The early morning air was cool, but Arjun felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of hope, excitement, and a deep, lingering sadness. He was about to leave everything he had ever known behind. His mother, Meena, busied herself with last-minute preparations, her hands trembling slightly as she adjusted the collar of his shirt. "You look so handsome, my son," she said, her voice wavering, but her eyes betrayed the deep sorrow she was trying to hide. She had always known this day would come, yet nothing had prepared her for the pain of letting her son go. Arjun forced a smile, trying to be strong for her. "I'll be back, Mama. This isn't goodbye forever." Meena nodded, but tears were already welling up in her eyes. "I know, Arjun, but it's hard, so hard to see you go. You're the light of this home." She pulled him into a tight embrace, and Arjun could feel her tears soaking into his shirt. He hugged her back just as tightly, trying to memorize the feeling of her warmth, the scent of home that clung to her clothes. Ravi, his father, stood nearby, his face a mask of stoic determination. He had always been the strong one, the pillar of the family, but Arjun could see the cracks in his facade. When Meena finally released him, Ravi stepped forward and placed a hand on Arjun's shoulder, his grip firm yet gentle. "You've grown into a fine young man, Arjun," Ravi said, his voice rough with emotion. "Remember everything we've taught you. Be strong, be kind, and never forget where you come from. This place, this family, will always be your anchor." Arjun nodded, his throat tight with emotion. "I won't forget, Papa, I promise." His younger sister, Kavya, clung to his side, her small face wet with tears. "Don't go, Bahaya," she whispered, her voice trembling. She was too young to fully understand why her brother had to leave, but the thought of him being so far away filled her with fear and sadness. Arjun knelt down to her level, wiping away her tears with a gentle hand. "Kavya, I have to go, but I'll call you every day. And I'll bring you back something special from America, okay? You have to be strong for Mama and Papa." Kavya sniffled, trying to be brave. "Promise?" "Promise," Arjun said, giving her a small smile. "And you have to study hard, just like I did. You can achieve anything you want, Kavya. Just believe in yourself." She nodded, wrapping her arms around his neck in a fierce hug. Arjun held her close, feeling the weight of his responsibilities pressing down on him. He was leaving his little sister behind, but he had to do this for her, for their family. As the taxi arrived to take him to the airport, Arjun took one last look at his home. The faded walls, the cracked roof, the narrow alley where he had played as a child. It was all so familiar. Yet he knew he might never see it the same way again. He felt a pang of sorrow deep in his chest, a sense of loss that was almost overwhelming. His parents helped him load his suitcase into the car, and for a moment they all stood in silence, the weight of the moment pressing down on them. Arjun's heart was heavy, but he knew he couldn't turn back now. This was the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one that would take him far from everything he had ever known. Finally, Ravi broke the silence. "Go, Arjun. Go make us proud." Arjun nodded, blinking back tears. "I will, Papa, I promise." With that, he climbed into the taxi, his heart pounding in his chest. As the car pulled away, he watched his family shrink into the distance, their figures blurring through his tears. He waved until they were out of sight, the weight of the goodbye settling heavily on his shoulders. The ride to the airport was quiet, the city passing by in a blur. Arjun's mind was a whirlwind of emotions, excitement for the future, fear of the unknown, and a deep, aching sadness at leaving his family behind. He knew this was what he had worked so hard for, but that didn't make the parting any easier. When he arrived at the airport, Arjun took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. The bustling crowds, the loudspeaker announcements, the unfamiliarity of it all, it was overwhelming. But he reminded himself of the promise he had made to his family, of the dreams that had driven him this far. As he boarded the plane, Arjun looked out at the city one last time. The lights of Agra twinkled in the distance, a reminder of everything he was leaving behind. But he also knew that this was his path, the journey he had chosen. And as the plane took off, lifting him high into the sky, Arjun felt a surge of determination. This was just the beginning. He would face the challenges ahead, and he would succeed. For himself, for his family, and for the future they all deserved. And no matter how far he went, Agra would always be in his heart, a source of strength and inspiration that would guide him through the darkest times. Arjun stepped off the plane into the bustling chaos of New York's JFK airport, his senses immediately overwhelmed by the sheer scale of everything around him. The air was thick with the scent of unfamiliar foods, the murmur of countless languages, and the hum of a city that never seemed to sleep. He had never seen anything like it. The towering buildings, the fast-paced crowds, the flashing lights, it was as if he had stepped into a different world. His heart pounded in his chest, a mix of excitement and anxiety. Everything felt so new, so foreign. Back in Agra, he had known every street, every face. But here, he was just one among millions, a speck in a vast ocean. Arjun tightened his grip on his suitcase, his only connection to home, and took a deep breath. "Welcome to America," he whispered to himself, trying to quell the nerves bubbling up inside him. But underneath the anxiety was a spark of hope, a sense of possibility that had driven him to leave everything behind. He was here now, in the land of opportunity, and nothing could stop him from chasing his dreams. As he navigated through the crowd, he couldn't help but marvel at the diversity around him. People from all walks of life rushed past, each with their own story and their dreams. It was overwhelming, yet oddly comforting. Arjun felt a strange sense of belonging in this sea of strangers, as if his dreams too had a place here. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he found the exit. The doors slid open, and he stepped outside into the crisp, cool air. The city spread out before him, a jungle of concrete and steel alive with energy. Taxis honked, people shouted, and the skyline towered above him, impossibly high. It was intimidating, but Arjun had made it this far. He wasn't about to turn back now. A man was waiting for him, holding a sign with his name on it. "Arjun," the man called, his voice gruff but not unkind. "I'm Rajesh. I'll take you to your apartment." Arjun nodded, grateful for the help. Rajesh was an acquaintance of his father's, someone who had moved to America years ago and had offered to help him settle in. The man had a tired look in his eyes, but there was kindness there too, a silent understanding of what it meant to leave everything behind. As they drove through the city, Arjun stared out the window, trying to take it all in. The towering skyscrapers, the neon signs, the endless stream of people, it was a far cry from the narrow streets of Agra. Every corner seemed to pulse with life, every street a new adventure waiting to unfold. It was thrilling, but also daunting. Rajesh glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "It's a lot to take in, isn't it?" he said, a hint of a smile in his voice. Arjun nodded. "It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it." Rajesh chuckled. "You'll get used to it. New York has a way of swallowing you whole at first, but you'll find your way. Just take it one step at a time, one step at a time." Arjun repeated the words in his head, trying to anchor himself in the advice. He had come here with a purpose, a dream that had kept him going through the hardest times. And now, standing at the starting line of his new life, that dream felt closer than ever, but also more elusive. They arrived at the apartment, a small, modest place in Queens. It wasn't much, but to Arjun it was a palace, a place of his own where he could begin building his future. As he stepped inside, he took a moment to absorb the reality of it. This was home now, a place where he could plant the seeds of his dreams and watch them grow. Rajesh helped him carry his suitcase up the narrow stairs, pausing at the door of the apartment. "It's not fancy, but it's clean and safe. The neighborhood's good too. You'll find your way around soon enough." Arjun nodded, grateful for the support. "Thank you, Rajesh uncle, for everything." Rajesh smiled, a warm, knowing look in his eyes. "You're welcome, Arjun. Just remember, it's not going to be easy. There will be days when you'll want to give up when everything feels too hard. But that's when you have to dig deep and find that strength inside you. You've already come so far. Don't stop now." As Rajesh left, Arjun stood alone in the small apartment, his emotions swirling. The reality of his situation hit him all at once. He was alone in a foreign country, only his dreams and a strong determination to succeed. It was terrifying, but also exhilarating. He unpacked slowly, placing his few belongings around the room, each item a connection to his past. His mother's cooking utensils, his father's old watch, a photo of his family, each piece a reminder of why he was here, of the people he was doing this for. As he placed the last item on the shelf, he stood back, looking around the room. It was small, but it was his, a blank canvas, waiting to be filled with the story of his life. That night, as he lay in bed staring up at the unfamiliar ceiling, Arjun's thoughts drifted back to Agra. He missed his family deeply, the comfort of their presence, the familiarity of home. But he knew that this was where he needed to be. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and obstacles he couldn't yet see. But Arjun had something stronger than fear. He had hope. And as he drifted off to sleep, the sounds of the city lulling him into dreams, Arjun made a silent promise to himself. No matter how hard it got, no matter how far he had to go, he would not give up. This was just the beginning of his journey, and he would face whatever came his way with courage and determination. For in his heart, Arjun knew that every step he took in this new world was a step closer to the life he had always dreamed of, and he was ready to embrace it one day at a time. As Arjun faces the reality of his new life in New York, what obstacles will test his resolve? Can his dreams withstand the challenges ahead? Stay tuned for the next episode to find out, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to follow Arjun's journey.